Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for all the many blessings that you bestow on us each and every day. Lord, I pray that we don't take any of them for granted. Lord, just continue to be with us as a county, our commonwealth, and our country. And Lord, I just pray that all of us as leaders are seeking your will in everything that we do. Lord, just watch over our first responders and all of our county employees, and just be with us today as we conduct your business. It's in your Son's holy and precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll go ahead and call Marsh County Fiscal Court to order November 2nd, 2021. First on the agenda is Parks Director Brittany Hargrove.
All right, I think Brad is going to get a few things pulled up there, and I just wanted to kind of update everybody on Boo Bash. I know I talked to some of you guys individually to kind of let you all know about the turnout that we had, but I think the community definitely told us with the response that this is an event that we are going to be doing again next year for sure. And I wanted to thank Robin Connor, who is back here. This was her first event since taking the rec coordinator position. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to be able to do more of now that we have got her in there. And a big thanks to all of my park staff, because it was a team effort for sure to be able to make this happen. So here's some pictures from the event. We did the big countdown for everybody to come in. The first 100 kids got free buckets full of Halloween goodies. We had this huge candy dash, which took up half of the soccer field. We had food trucks. We had a touch-a-truck that was handing out candy at all of the different trucks as well. And we had the high school dance team come out and teach the Thriller dance. And there was a big Thriller dance-off. We had a costume. Do what?
Who won?
The Thriller dance-off. It was a little kid, and I cannot remember their name. There's a picture somewhere on here of them. We had a pumpkin carving or decorating contest, and I bet we had over 30 pumpkins that were entered in it. So it was an awesome response to that as well. And then we had the costume contest, and we did that in all the different age divisions. And we literally had everybody from babies to full adults dressed up. So that was really awesome as well. This is Allie, one of the art teachers in the school. She came out and judged some of our pumpkins for us. That was the winner of the pumpkin contest there. And I believe that was second place. Is that right, Robin? That was third place. And there was second place. So we had some really cool pumpkins. And then the baseball team came out. That's the dance team there with the judges. But the baseball team came out and did the haunted forest for us. And that was such an awesome thing. That money that was raised from that was about $4,000 almost. And half of that went to the baseball team. And then they donated half to the Miracle League, which was an awesome fundraiser. We're definitely going to do that again next year. There was the Crazy Cat lady. She was the winner from our one of our little age groups in the costume contest there. It was an absolutely huge turnout. We estimated, based on car counts, that there were over 2,500 people at the park in attendance at this event, which is like mind-blowingly huge, especially for it to be the first year that we have done this event. So it's definitely going to be something that we plan to grow next year, add even more things to, and we've already started work on the planning for next year. So hopefully it's just going to be even bigger and even better than that. And then we have a couple of quick video clips too. Brad, if you can switch to the video clips.
Do they have volume?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
While he's working on that, this was an awesome thing. We had some great sponsors for this event. We had Summit Kitchen and Bath, the mat Legacy Motors and Tri-State Outdoor Solutions, and then 59 Main. And that is 59 Main donated all of the buckets and all of the goodies that went in the buckets, and I think they're going to do that again next year. And then the rest of our sponsors did cash so that we could actually buy all the supplies that we needed to put on the event. And then we also had candy donors. I know a lot of you brought candy. We had businesses that brought candy. So we're definitely going to be doing that again next year because, like I said, the candy was gone in about 0.2 seconds because we would have never dreamed that we would have had over 2,500 people there. So it's an awesome problem to have, but we'll definitely be better prepared for next year. So this is the Thriller dance-off, just so you can kind of get an idea of how this went. And the 3 kids that are here in the very front were our 3 finalists that were dancing off at that point.
Is your daughter out there?
No, I think she'd already had her meltdown at this point. And then this other video clip is going to show you kind of the countdown to this starting. They lined up for about an hour before the event started, which was an amazing turnout. But this just kind of gives you an idea of the rush. So that's just a quick little clip. But this was huge. It was great. And, you know, one thing that we talked about is there really isn't kind of a big Halloween family-friendly type event anywhere in the area. I mean, you've got Town Falls and things like that. But as far as a one-night community event, there just really isn't one centralized thing. So I think this is a great opportunity for us. This was not just Marshall County people that came either. It definitely drew from across the region. We had people from all over the place. So next year we'll be adding shuttles and everything else in because they were parked everywhere all the way out to the road, to the splash pad, and everywhere and walking down. So it was a great event, and we're looking forward to next year. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brittany.
Good job.
Thank you.
We'll go under correspondence. You should have seen the KEDFA grant letter. Josh had gotten with me sometime after we were approved from the initial process that it has to go through. But we had, the Fiscal Court had originally thought that the in-kind was to be used towards the grant. This particular grant, the in-kind does not apply. So the in-kind was $67,809 that the road department was going to do, that we were going to use for the grant. After looking at the road department budget, the prior year's excess revenue is an area where we can pull $67,809 for the grant. We had to show KEDFA the actual county's revenue that was going to be used for this grant. And as you can see, $52,000 from PACRO, $165,431 of revenues, and then the $67,809, which was the in-kind. So I just wanted to bring this to the court. This is the letter that was drafted. If the court is fine with that, to use the $67,809 out of the road department's prior year excess revenue.
So it won't negatively impact their current year budget.
When the time comes, I will have to amend in the excess of prior year and with an amendment.
Excess.
Yeah.
Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries. October personnel changes.
Brent Madding, full-time deputy sheriff, effective 10/18/21 at $23.35 an hour. Missy Curry, county attorney staff, termed 10/31/21.
Just as a FYI, Missy left on great terms. We're going to miss her. We've got April Darrington, started yesterday. She's going to be great, but nothing to be alarmed about that, so.
Under old business, item A, approve the minutes for October 19th meeting and October 25th special call meeting.
Motion approved the minutes.
Second,
Second.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, we finally heard from DLG, it'd be the ordinance 2021-07 budget amendment, second reading.
Ordinance 2020-01, an ordinance relating to the annual budget and amendment thereof, whereas the County of Marshall has received additional funds. Now be it ordained by the Fiscal Court of Marshall County that Section 1, the annual budget for fiscal year 2021-2022 is amended to A, increase or decrease revenue accounts as follows. General miscellaneous, $61,036.74. Surplus equipment in the road department, $7,400. Insurance proceeds, $430. General fund miscellaneous, $15,024.06. Insurance proceeds, $7,640.36. CDBG federal grant, $200,000. E911 balance July 1, $39,222.56 for a total increase of $330,753.72. B, increase expenditure accounts as follows. Fiscal Court 319 H grant funds, $55,036.74. Computer software development, $6,000. Road county paving, $5,400. Road safety, $2,000. County park supplies, $430. County fuel expenses, $15,024.06. Ambulance parts and repairs, $7,640.36. CDBG federal grant, $200,000. 911 center upfit, $39,222.56 for a total of $330,753.72. Section 2, the amounts added to the revenue and expenditure accounts in Section 1 are for governmental purposes, approved by the Marshall County Fiscal Court the 19th day of October 2021, approved as a form of classification this 19th day of October 2021. I believe actually that he dated that the 26th of October, and that was by Robert O. Brown. This amendment to the budget and ordinance was adopted by the Marshall County Fiscal Court, Kentucky, on the second day of November 2021.
Move we approve.
Second.
Here, second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. County clerk's claim for preparing tax bills. Should have a copy of it.
Move we approve it.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, Sheriff's Annual Order, max salaries for deputies. Annual order setting maximum amount for deputies and assistants. This is amended pursuant to KRS 64-533. The fiscal court shall fix annually the maximum amount, including fringe benefits, which the officer may expend for deputies and assistants. The fiscal court of Marshall County, in compliance with the state law, hereby sets the maximum amount which the sheriff the sheriff of Marshall County may expend from fees during the calendar year 2021 at $3,328,000 for deputies, assistants, and other employees. The maximum amount as set includes all amounts paid from fees.
This is amending after the budget was passed because of the initial.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. We have to submit a budget this higher in first of the year, but then the court runs fiscal year-wise. So after the raise came in July, we had to adjust it for that.
Okay. I move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Road Department personnel.
This is for Jason Neal. It's a wage change, 1-year increase to $20.47.
Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
I believe there was one more, hang on. Wasn't there two? Cole? Yeah, let me find it real quick. Sorry. Yeah. So the other one is for Cole Siebert. That is a wage increase for a 1-year increase effective 12/1/21 to $20.74 per hour.
Move we approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Just give me a sheet on that. Board appointments. This is the, I'll just read this. Dear Judge Neal, members of the Marsh County Extension Council have submitted the following individuals as potential appointees to serve on the Marsh County District Board. My appointments are going to be a reappointment for Larry Neal and Diana Engel.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. County Properties Maintenance. This is, that line is still, we've got a lot of maintenance on our facilities that this year has caused the line to go zero. So we need to identify a dollar amount for this line to get us through this year that we want to put in place. Obviously, some of these expenses are unforeseen. I think we're going to be talking about the elevator quote here pretty soon next. But unless the court wants to, whenever we have these bills come in or parts break, we come back to the court. There's a time issue involved here, but I think it'd be best to put a dollar amount in that line to get us in to finish the fiscal year out. And two, where the money's going to come from, what line the money's going to come from.
You have an amount in mind that, I mean, y'all know more than what we know with what's needing repaired and stuff like that.
We've exceeded what we've previously in the years previous what we have budgeted. So when we look at the historical data, we're above the monies that we historically budget for. I'd say 20,000 to start off. There are some items out there that we are aware of that it's just a matter of time. We don't know when that will exceed that, but I think we'll deal with that as an individual basis when that occurs.
Does that cover, because I don't have anything on my drive on the quote, does that include that drive, or that elevator? No.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
So the elevator's gonna come out of a different line item? Is that what you're saying? Two? Okay.
I love how Monty always looks at me. Where's my tree? Where's my money tree?
Well, you are the treasurer.
Let's see, there was a line for something for insurance that we paid and it came in under and we used it.
That's what we used we used fuel and then put it back after we received the insurance refund. Not that insurance, but the workman's comp.
Let me look really quick, now that I said that, at one other insurance that we pay and see if it came under budget. No, the one I was thinking about is coming in right on track, so. I mean, we have like a 2,100 in workers' comp, that could take 2,000 off, but I mean, that's not much compared to 20, but.
So, so let me ask you, we just discussed the additional carryover, additional revenue, whatever you want to, for that. I mean, based on looking at your report, your year-end report, are there any other additional carryover? I mean, it certainly looked like with OTA, some other just general revenue was higher than we expected, which would have made carryover
Yes.
higher than expected.
There are other carryovers that are higher. In the past, I think the past 2 years, I have not amended in the additional carryover unless we have had to have it for whatever kind of emergency situation, because it does help to ensure we do have some kind of carryover at the end of the year. Does that make sense? It kind of builds itself.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I do see that this is kind of that situation.
I mean, this, if there's any situation, it feels like,
It does take a budget amendment, which is fine. But we'd want to probably know up front
Well, is-
what all we'd want to amend in, so that way we're not doing even another one after that, like a third one.
right. I mean, that's my thought. Unless you have a now, a better possibility.
I really don't. Our big line items like fuel and stuff, that's the reason I keep going back to that, because right now on fuel, we're, like, for where we are in the year, if we were to think of using it equally every month of the year, we're under. But that doesn't mean that in the spring, fuel prices
So
won't
are
shoot
there
up.
items that we need now that we can't, that
Wait
we
for.
need to deal with, that we can't, or do we have the time to be able to do a budget amendment and have,
I mean, if
Yes,
the
I don't know.
if it's the
Y'all
court's
know more
will,
about
I'll present another budget amendment at the next meeting. And then we'll need, same thing, we'll have to wait for DLG to come back with it and all that. But we do pay advertising every time, not that it's astronomical, but sometimes it's at it. I know last year we went over our advertising budget, had to come up with money for that line too.
Yeah.
But
And I just want to point out that this is not uncommon, that we budget a budget line and then unforeseen expenses come, and it depletes that budget line. So this is common with trying to hit a moving target with a budget. So if anybody's listening or watching, they think, and God forbid WPST reports that, we got issues. But,
Probably not.
yeah. This is just monies that we allocated in the budget. Those monies, obviously with all the expenses that we've incurred, have depleted that line, and we just need to move monies that we think will cover to get us through the year.
Expenses going up too, I mean, every day.
Repairs
You're
on
seeing it
buildings are
everywhere.
always going to be volatile.
Yeah.
You're not going to know year for year what
We're
has
on
to
the
be fixed.
envelope system, and the envelope is out. Right? So we got to take from the Walmart envelope to put into the other envelope.
So if the course is a budget amendment, it's probably not going to be available in there for about a month. You can just assume maybe a month, because I'll present it to you next meeting. Won't
Is-
be able to probably read it till 2 meetings after that.
So do you need to do a temporary,
I know that
Fix
Corey
out
puts all
of-
of those bills in, and she kind of has been keeping an eye on that, so I know that we had talked about it a little the other day.
well,
Can we
can't,
do it out of the fuel line and put it back?
Yeah, we can still do the fuel line and put it back if that's what you want. But I need
Yeah.
appropriation transfer for it, but yes. No, but we've added to the end of it the last several meetings.
Yeah.
the courthouse? Okay. You got an amount?
Oh, yeah.
For the, about the next month.
For,
The elevator code upgrade that needs to.
Well,
Yeah,
we have some
that's
monthly
a
bills too,
requirement.
right? Does that include whatever that is?
do what?
I think we have some monthly bills too. Does that include what you usually put in monthly out of that line?
A little bit. They're not excessive though.
And we'll get a little bit more in-depth on the courthouse elevator quote, because I believe the brand of elevator that we have is, yes, yeah. Yeah. The courthouse is this building, but the judicial building, we've got elevators that basically they don't make parts for anymore. I think that's 120,000. 170? Okay, good. Yeah.
Don't
You
have
just-
parts for it.
You just went into
because-
labor.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard the number yet.
It really is. I mean, when you look at the expenses on what's coming in and then what's projected potentially, I mean, it's a lot of money. So time-wise, obviously the admin code, or not the admin code, but a budget amendment's going to take, how long did this budget amendment that we just approved, was that about 4 weeks?
No, we read it the first reading and we got it back by the second meeting. So there's 2 weeks in between, but the problem is I'm not even going to present it for another 2 weeks. So let's just say a month.
Okay.
Do you need two motions if we're pulling it out of the fuel line temporarily till we replace it with the,
No, I can
Budget
just,
amendment.
I'll go ahead and add it. When I discuss the appropriation transfers, we can just approve it all at one time there. If that's what y'all want to do. Did you say 2,500, Corey?
Would it be, don't be, because we're going to put it back in there anyway. So it's 5,000. Oh,
From the last time we removed, there's a little left of that.
so the 2,500.
So 2,500 from the county fuel to the courthouse maintenance line. I'll get together a budget amendment.
So we're good on the county courthouse for appropriation. All right. Now, item F, courthouse elevator quote is for this courthouse. We'll bring up, obviously, it's a ladder, a man ladder that's required, so that's a requirement. But at the judicial building, the elevators there, just bring to the court's attention that we were just notified that that particular brand of elevator basically is obsolete. So they're not manufacturing parts for it. And that's the quote, what, 100 and... 107. And that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah. Parts aren't going to be there.
They said the end of next year to 18 months at least.
This is like an escape ladder, is that what we're talking about?
No, that's the one here in the courthouse. That was a code change. We have to install that.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's nothing wrong with the ones down there, it's just if they run out, they run out.
Yeah. Well, what we need to do is kind of think about, let's just use a scenario where both of them run out today. ADA requirements, obviously getting it resolved. I know we got a quote, but the time to get that thing fixed,
They will each be down for 2 weeks. So obviously they do them at separate times.
each.
Yeah. So you would just have one operating elevator at a time while they do that.
We got a quote. Why don't we do this? Why don't we send that communication to ALC and try to find a time frame when they can at least get a timeline established of when they can come in and do the repairs or modernization. So we'll send that out to the ALC, have a more specific amount. The cost sharing on that, so we'll have, bring that back to the court at a later date. Any other questions on that? Transfers, item G.
Okay, there's a transfer from general fund investments to capital projects, $19,610, and that covers the two invoices that are in with the bills today for Drivensville West Sewer. And then we have from 911 upfit to general fund investments, and that's the reversal we discussed last time that could happen once we had the second budget reading, or the budget amendment second reading, which we just did. And then I've added on here from our discussion just now to move from county fuel to the courthouse maintenance line, $2,500.
Move we approve the transfer.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. So the actual bank transfers that are needed for these appropriation transfers, I just read off. One, it needs to go from the general fund investment account to the general fund for the 19,610. One needs to go from 911's bank account to the general fund investment savings account for 39,222.56.
Move we approve the transfers, bank transfers.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. there any reason to deny payment of the bills and claims?
I do have, as I spoke to you before, in your office before the meeting, over the Lowe's invoice in the 911 fund for $1,865.77, labeled as an outdoor storage unit, and it's for a gazebo. As I told you in your office this morning, I think it is excessive, and I don't think that we need to be purchasing that for the 911 facility. Other departments are not getting something like that, and I don't think we need to be getting that at the 911 center. I'm all well aware the stress that these 911 dispatchers endure, but I do not think this is this purchase makes any sense. I'm not trying to micromanage any department, but my job as county commissioner is to look out for the taxpayers, and I do have an issue with this invoice.
There's a motion.
My motion is to pay the bills except the gazebo from the Lowe's invoice.
Second.
There's a second. Under discussion, we're the legislation arm for the county. What is the solution moving forward? Because the two requirements from the state, the treasurer's office meets, the admin code is met. From my observation, we don't handle any other agency as we do 911, but as the legislating arm for the county, what solution does this fiscal court want to put in place to where we resolve those types of issues? That's where the power, as elected officials, there's 4 members of this governing body. That's where the power lies. So what legislation do we want to put on the table? And be mindful that it will be consistent with all, not just one, but all agencies. The county government offices, including those fee offices that we do the budgets for, or we do the bills for. So I asked the court, what is the legislation solution to this? Because right now, everything has been met. By our own current legislation and the state requirements. And Erica, if you want to explain a little bit more on that for them, she does not have the authority, other than the 2 requirements that she has to meet, to tell what agencies can or can't, when they have an approved budget by us, to what they can or can't spend on.
So the right way I read what the state's intention for a purchase order system is for me to approve that, yes, the person has money in the line they're trying to open a purchase order out of, and 2, that it's an appropriate line. So we're not trying to put, say, a filing cabinet in a salary line. You want only salary things in a salary line. I will say that when you all are thinking this over and kind of what you want to do, if your thoughts are you would like to go the direction of me scrutinizing all the POs, number one, you're talking about a lot of time, which is fine, but also you'd be putting it in my hands to say, yes, I think this thing you're buying is at a reasonable price, and yes, I think you need it. And I don't know that that's something you want me to decide. I know that that's not something I want to decide. Now, if you assign me that duty, I will do it. But, and then second, just in addition to that, as you guys are kind of considering this, we need, if we're going to put in our admin code to change this purchase order and add on top of what the state minimum kind of requirements are, we need some consequences for that action too, because apart from the issue we're talking about now, we have another person who does not put in their bills to get paid within 30 days, does not put in purchase orders. We've talked about it. There's really no way to give that person any consequences for their actions. So, and I don't know what to do there. And I've asked the auditor, and she said, I've brought it to you, and that's all I can really do.
And I will add that the court's aware of this. It's not consistent. And to get it consistent is legislation. And as elected officials of this fiscal court, that's where our authority and power lies. So I ask, what does the fiscal court want legislation on this issue, if any?
What legislation are you after? What are you wanting from the court?
I'm not the one that brought this to the
I brought
floor.
this up because it is my job as a county commissioner. I'm one of 4 people that looks at the tax dollars. That's our job. That's all of our job. And I mean, I guess I'm not following what you're wanting out of the court. We're doing our job.
To clarify, I think we're looking at, same thing we did with the grounds policy. We have legislation passed in our admin code on purchasing. It doesn't address what a description. Right.
So
we
you're
can,
wanting legislation that gives the treasurer's office authority to approve or deny. I mean, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, no, I think I think it would be, what we're saying is it would have to be above and beyond what the state tells the treasurer to do.
Right, the state sets the minimum, we can always
Yeah.
add on top of that, as long as we're
Yeah.
not contradicting what the state.
I think that's the
reason
job
why-
of the commissioners. That's just my opinion. I guess that's my view on government. It's the job of the commissioners. We're elected by the people.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think-
No offense to any of you all do a fine job. But I think when we get power one step further from the people, we're not doing our duty to the people.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the question is, you're saying here's the amount of money and they're spending appropriately within that amount, right? I think where we even identified, I wouldn't say a discrepancy, but maybe a hole in the system is that description, it gets approved by Erica, then the person says, okay, now I can go out and purchase that item. They purchase it, and then that purchase gets attached back to that PO. So when you guys see that purchase, well, you just see what the purchase was, and you don't see what the PO description is unless you dig into each one.
And the PO description on that was a storage building,
Right.
which I don't get
Right.
that from the beginning. A
And even if the
gazebo's not a
PO
storage building.
even if the PO had said gazebo, I've already told you what I have to do. So the first thing I ask myself is, does he have line in the budget, and he budgeted it to 911 upfit? Yes, he does. My second thing is he putting in an appropriate line? Yes, that's where that would go. And then I've met my requirements. So even if he had put the word gazebo, I had no reason to deny that purchase order. So that's kind of where we're coming. If you all wanted to look at every single purchase order, logistically, how would we do that? And then you're going to have to set up boundaries of what you consider an emergency. For example, the road department's my favorite example of that, because their things broke down and they need it immediately. It's probably in the middle of the road broken down and they need something fixed. So you'd need a kind of a boundaries of what needs to come to you and what doesn't not have to come to you, and the purchase order can go ahead and be approved. Does that make sense, kind of? So even if gazebo had been there, I would have approved it because it met the criteria that I currently have given to me by the state and by you.
We're going to be at CAECO meetings for the next 3 days with 120 counties. Would probably be a good opportunity to have some discussion with some of them on what they do.
Purchasing policy, that's.
Yeah, because I mean, as of right now, what this governing body has put in place and what the state requires has been met. And it's not consistent with some of the other departments. And I think that we need to, because it is confusing for the staff. And I think that's a problem. We have to be consistent across the board. Because, I mean, as we stated, we got one that doesn't even do purchase orders, which is a major problem.
And, you know, some of the descriptions are very vague. I know I get some purchase orders from the road department that says parts. He doesn't list every part he's going to go buy. And I would not, even if he did, I wouldn't know what he was telling me he wanted to buy. But, so we kind of need consistency there, too. If you want to change something about the description, it'll need to be applicable to every department. Another option would be right now with POs, we do not require a quote or like a list of what you intend to buy with the prices that you've checked into what they are. A lot of times people do attach a quote to PO. It's usually when there's something big, like Brad attached a quote for the HVAC stuff to his purchase order. And then he attached the actual invoice to his payment request. So that's a route you could go, and that way it'd be listed there in the purchase orders of what was intended to be bought.
And so we've had these discussions in court before, but when it comes to payment of the bills, you know, I ask what's unjust or illegal about this particular bill?
I understand where you're coming from as far as another policy or whatever. I get that. But this is rare. It's rare that this has happened. I mean, I understand it has happened in the past, but it is rare.
What do you mean rare?
I mean, I can't remember more than 5 times that this legislative body has voted not to pay a bill. Could be more than that, but off the top of my head, in the 3 years that this legislative body has been together, it's probably happened 5 times. So.
Do we know those 5? What department they're with?
No. I mean, obviously, one of them, yes, we do. I mean, it was 911.
What about those that
And then
don't follow the
Once
policy?
we got more information on it, we did that.
There's been no discussion as far as the department that doesn't follow the policy, which is a problem. We just brought up last court meeting, I believe, not the special call meeting, but the last court meeting, and this court sat quietly. But we all knew the problem. It's not consistent. Our legislation, we're following it, and there is some inconsistencies.
If I remember right, based on what you're talking about, that last meeting, we actually discussed one of your offices getting together a plan for that particular office.
I did.
Okay.
Because there was the court sat quiet. So I brought to the court, I can bring a policy to the court that can outline what amount that we actually say, this is the amount, that's the legislation that we have as elected officials. We can say, this is the amount that we're going to pay or fund in a budget line for this service, for this particular department. Now, that'll be a policy for that department. I mean, in this, paying the bills, this is all departments. And we're currently, right now, we're meeting those requirements. Our own legislation, we're meeting it. And as Erica has stated, the 2 minimum requirements from the state.
From a legal standpoint, meeting the requirements does not mean that you, as a court, give up your discretion to deny something if you think it's excessive or unreasonable.
That's not what I'm saying.
You can do that on a case-by-case basis.
That's not what I'm saying.
You give the sheriff's office a certain amount for uniforms, and they buy 18-karat gold badges, They may be within their budget, but that's not a reasonable expense.
And that's actually happening. But the court's silent on it. Not the sheriff's department. My thing is, if we're going to be consistent as elected officials with the legislation that we can put on the table, then let's be consistent. That's all I'm asking. I totally agree that as elected officials, we four can set that standard. But the way we're doing it, it's inconsistent, and it's confusing to the staff as far as what the court wants. And quite frankly, other than you coming to me this morning, there's been no communication to me as a voting member.
When you look at something on the Excel spreadsheet that's sent to you and it says storage building, and then you find out by looking at receipts that it's a gazebo, there's a big difference there in that. And
that can be explained.
I get here before court every time. I have since I was elected at 8 o'clock when the doors open. Look at the bills, look at all the departments, look at the invoices. And those that I have a problem with, I've brought to the court's attention. I'll continue to do that. I don't care what department it is. If I think it's excessive or unreasonable, we'll be discussing it.
And that can be easily explained. I'll point out again that other than Justin coming by this morning, there was no communication to my office. And you've got a low-line supervisor that put in that PO. And when you pull up the information on the PO, yes, it's listed in the description as outdoor storage. And it is a gazebo. But there is no discrepancies or ill will on how that description was put in. It does meet, again, what we lay out as a legislative body, what we say they can approve. So it does meet those requirements. If it needs to be more specific, we have the legislative power to make that happen. They just sat here and explained to you that they don't have the authority to deny at that level or to ask what specifically is this. And to some degree, I mean, for the road department, it would probably hamper their operations. That's where our authority lies. We carry out the wishes of the court. So I ask, is there any legislative issue that the court wants to put on the table regarding this?
You've mentioned many times that our only authority is when we're gavelled in. And so all I feel like Commissioner Lamb did was that authority that he has to do. I don't see that this is, again, it's rare.
It's inconsistent. It's extremely inconsistent. And trust me when I say that.
I'll make it clear, Roy. If this was in your budget and you wanted a gazebo, I would have brought it up. Brittany, well, you're at the park, you got plenty of gazebos. So I'd probably bring it up too. It has nothing to do with 911 or who it is. It's just an excessive expense, and like I said, I'm here for the taxpayers. That's my only motive. So we can twist it around any which way you want to, but I mean, I'm not going after the 911 director or anyone. I've been supportive of 911 from the beginning, but and if he needs any equipment inside that building, we can discuss it. But a gazebo, I just think's excessive.
There was a motion and a second. All those in favor to deny payment of the bill for the 911 gazebo. All those for?
Aye.
All those against? I'm against, and I'll explain. This is not consistent. There are plenty of examples I'm bringing to the fiscal court right now as the only member that follows out the wishes of the court. This is not consistent, and I've done my due diligence to bring it to the court, to bring that to their attention. And the court does have the legislative power to put things in place that would be consistent to all departments. I only heard 2 ayes. Were there 3? Well, then motion carries. Let the clerk record that the bill's claims other than the 911 gazebo to be paid. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Oh, before you guys do that, can I ask for a directive now? Because that's going to sit in the VIP system like a outstanding bill. So what's,
It'll also, because it's a low, is it credit line?
it was bought on the, it was bought on
So
the
it
credit
Lowe's
card.
Credit card, so the statement will come in, and I guess we just won't pay that portion.
Is the directive to return the item? I mean, I don't know.
Lowe's is
Right now,
showing-
it's going to just sit in VIP like an open invoice.
Lowe's is showing items on back order.
Okay. So it's to just cancel the order, I guess.
Are we're
On
sure,
back order, I'm assuming it hadn't been installed.
we're
right?
sure it hasn't been picked up?
Just saying what Lowe's is showing on that item when you look online.
I'll get with Chris.
I just found out this morning, so.
What happened, how to deal with
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.